The cafeteria was buzzing with laughter, clattering trays, and the chaos of students rushing to find seats. But right in the middle of all that noise sat Maya, clutching her lunch tray like it was her last bit of comfort in a world that never seemed to give her any space. She was the quiet one, the girl who walked the hallways with her eyes down, who wore clothes that weren't the latest fashion, and who always seemed to carry the weight of loneliness. And on that day, as she finally sat at a corner table, hoping to eat in peace, 3 students approached her like shadows she had no power to escape. Without hesitation, they yanked her tray right from her hands. One of them laughed loudly as if the act itself was a performance meant to entertain the cafeteria. Her sandwich was tossed from one hand to another like a toy. Her apple rolled across the floor, and her small piece of cake, a rare treat she had saved, was squashed under a shoe. The laughter grew, echoing across the room, and Maya sat frozen, her throat tight, her eyes stinging. No one stepped in. Not a single voice told them to stop. She wasn't invisible. She was simply considered too unimportant to defend. But then, something unexpected happened. As the bullies mocked her, Maya's gaze rose, not with anger, but with a quiet strength that startled everyone. She stood up, trembling yet unyielding, and instead of begging for her food back, she simply said in a voice clear enough to slice through the noise, "You think you've taken something from me, but you've only shown everyone who you really are." The cafeteria fell into an uneasy hush. The laughter died as quickly as it had erupted. The bullies froze, caught off guard by the calmness of her tone. For the first time, people actually looked at Maya, not as the shy girl sitting in the corner, but as someone who had just done what most of them could never dare: speak truth in the face of cruelty. Still, silence alone didn't fix the ache in her chest. That night, Maya cried quietly at home, not because of the food that was stolen, but because of how easy it was for others to watch her humiliation without lifting a finger. She questioned her worth, her place in the world, and whether kindness had any meaning at all. It felt like another scar added to the many she already carried. The next day, though, something remarkable happened. A group of students, ones she barely knew, walked up to her in the hallway. They didn't say much, but they offered her a seat at their table during lunch. One even slid a sandwich her way before she could take her tray out. At first, she resisted, her trust too bruised to believe it was real. But when she saw the sincerity in their eyes, she sat down. The bullies passed by, waiting for her to cower, but instead, they found her surrounded by people who chose to stand with her. This wasn't an overnight transformation. Maya still struggled with the whispers, the sideways glances, and the doubt that clawed at her heart. But she learned something crucial: silence had power, but so did courage. Her quiet stand in the cafeteria had planted a seed in others, reminding them that cruelty doesn't look strong when the victim refuses to break. Weeks later, one of the bullies approached her, not with arrogance but hesitation. He mumbled an apology, awkward and unfinished, but genuine enough to make her realize her words that day had echoed louder than the cafeteria laughter. By the end of the school year, Maya was no longer the invisible girl in the corner. She wasn't the loudest nor the most popular, but she became a symbol of resilience. She had taught everyone, students and teachers alike, that sometimes strength isn't about fighting back with fists or shouting the loudest. Sometimes, strength is in the stillness of refusing to be defined by someone else's cruelty, and that strange silence in the cafeteria. It became the moment that changed everything. It was the pause that forced people to see, to think, and to remember that even the smallest voice can command the room when it carries truth. Message: the story of Maya is a reminder that bullies thrive on reactions, but courage thrives on conviction. When you stand your ground, even in trembling, you inspire others to do the same. No act of cruelty is stronger than a heart that refuses to surrender its dignity.